What's up? What's up? It's twice in 2 days. Here we are. It's Wednesday night. It's 9 p.m. You know what I'm going to say, you motherfuckers. I want everyone to pour yourselves a stiff one, crack yourselves a cold one, and roll yourself a motherfucking green one. Sit back and relax because it's shooting the shit uncensored. And it is me, the bald, the beard, the beautiful Piers Austin. And I am here with a very, very special guest. And I'm really excited. At the end of tonight's show, we're going to be announcing a winner to for one person for 5 tickets to Six Below Fight Club's first event. So guys, make sure you're watching to the end of the show to see who wins, and maybe you. If you want to know how you can win, quickly go to our Twitter page and retweet my tweet. That's at Piers Austin. So go check that out now. And guys, by the way, if you're not following us over on Twitch right now, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Guys, head over to twitch.tv/MWA World. Give me a follow. Give me a thumbs up. Even throw a comment in there that you came over from Facebook or wherever the fuck you came over, as long as you're there. But guys, first off, I want to thank some sponsors. First up is that company you hear me bragging about these guys all day long. All day. Oh, no, I got that wrong. Anyway, A-Rock Designs. If you are seeing anything on wrestling Facebook groups, pages, Instagram pages, they make custom wrestling cups, hoodies, keychains, t-shirts, tumblers. They made me my custom CM Punk tumbler, which I have on for every single show. This thing is amazing. Keeps my cold drinks cold and my hot drinks hot. Guys, you need to check them out. Go over to A-Rock Designs on Facebook. You know, you also find them on arockdesigns.com. They do an amazing product for an amazing price. Next is Signal Studios, baby. You know that this is the recording company. This is the recording company. Guys, if you're an independent professional wrestler, you need some new entrance music. You need something fly, something dope, something sick, something fucking cool. You need to hit up Rafi from Signal Studios, man. He can mix, master, produce you any type of track that you need, that you want, that you desire. Or if you're a musician, you just need a place to rehearse, a place to jam, a place to get your creative juices fucking flowing. You will not find a more comfortable rehearsal space than Signal Studios. So check them out today, guys. Man, I can see the chat's firing up already. We got Adrian. G'day, guys. We got World of Unpredictable Wrestling. That's the great Johnny Rodz, Hall of Famer. That's his promotion. So I'm not sure if it's Johnny, but Johnny, thanks for tuning in. But thanks to everyone at WUW for tuning in. Good morning, guys. Guys, without further ado, I'm going to bring out my guest for this evening. It is the man himself, Smacks. What's good, buddy?
What's going on, man? You're I had to get my energy levels up. After that, I'm feeling tired just watching you go through all that at the start.
Bro, this is me 24/7, bro. Like even my kids turn around and say to me, "Dad, it's quiet time now," you know?
Yeah, I've been up since 3 a.m. I got up and went to the gym at 3 a.m. So I'm like, as I was getting closer to 9, I'm like, man, I'm getting more and more tired. And then you've just come in like a ball of energy. I'm like, yeah, feeding off of it. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. I love it, bro. But man, first of all, Six Below, man, it's just come out of nowhere with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, how did this all sort of come about, man? Like, you're a professional wrestler yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in the deathmatch scene. How did you get started in the business, first of all?
How did I get started in the business? Well, I actually, not a lot of people know this, but I started back when I was 15. So I'm 27 now. I started when I was 15 training with George, Julio and Mike Manson under the Alpha Pro Wrestling School and George's school in his backyard. So back then, I was a massive fan of wrestling, always was. The usual picked on at school. No one took me serious sort of thing. I was a chubby fat kid. I needed to A, find a sport that I liked, and B, do something where if someone ran their mouth, I could probably legitimately kick their ass. So I was like, wrestling was where it was at. My dad was always super supportive. He was the one who got me into wrestling and took me to my training tryout. Did that, and I trained with them for, I'd like to say 2 years, had a couple of matches, and then unfortunately blew out my knee, which is not fun to do when you're like 16.
Hell no, man.
So I stepped away from that and kind of like just because I couldn't wrestle, I didn't really want to be around it. And then I got to the stage where stupidly I was like, I'm just not interested in wrestling anymore. Speaking of which, that's my dad there, Smack Daddy. Hello.
What's up, Mr. Smack Daddy?
I kind of got to the stage where I was, 17, 18, and I didn't want to come back to wrestling once my knee was fixed and feeling better and all that, and decided it'd be a smart idea for me to go into MMA instead. And I trained MMA for, I would say, probably about 2 years, and I had a couple of amateur fights. And then one night at training, I don't know what the school were thinking, but I was in an intermediate class, and they had this new kid come along, never stepped foot on a mat in his life. And we were doing takedown drills. This kid, big, like 6'4" Samoan dude, got paired up with me because I was the only one close to his height. Picked me up for a takedown drill, boom, straight on my head. Concussion straight away. But because we were drilling, I got up dazed. He grabbed me again, boom, bang, straight onto my head. So concussion on concussion. And I remember sitting outside of the cage. I'm like, I need 5 minutes, because I obviously didn't know I was concussed, but like I was in a world of pain. I just got dropped on my head. So I was sitting outside of the cage. I would look down at my phone. I looked up and everyone's getting out. And I'm like, I must be taking a break. I walk up to my coach and I'm like, hey, I'm not feeling too good. I think I'm going to head home. He looks at me. He's like, dude, you've been sitting out there for 3 hours. So I lost 3 hours of my life, I don't remember, from this head injury. So I spent nine hours on a hospital gurney. They were afraid to move me in case I had spinal damage. I was so concussed that my right eye, the pupil dilated to the point where I actually tore astigmatism in it, and I've actually I now need glasses to drive or watch TV and stuff like that, which I don't wear as much as I should. And like that, my MMA career was done. It just wasn't worth it. But I had got back into the feeling of doing something like that, and I happened to be, down on myself, scrolling through Facebook, and I see that there was an NAW show, and I hadn't been to NAW in ages, but I knew a lot of people around there.
Yeah.
So they were doing a tryout for training and stuff, and I went down there, did the training tryout with a few of the other guys who are now on the independent scene now, like Callum Butcher, Corey Pearson, like they were all down there. Zachy Boy, they were all down there, did that. And the rest is history. I just sort of got back into it, fell in love with it, and here we are nearly 6 years later. And
that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
it's funny, man, because I have a background in MMA, and it's always the case when it's someone who's untrained, unskilled, and it goes in there and they don't know their own strength. They don't know how to spar because they've never sparred before, or they don't know how to roll because they, how you are in training is different how you are in a fight or in a tournament or anything like that. And man, the times I got injured were times because, I allowed myself to get in a situation with someone who wasn't trained properly, and it just, it didn't end well. And it's like, it's because, like I said, if you're new and you don't understand that, even after I came out of injury, like it'd be like first person, someone new coming on the map, I'm like, stay the fuck over there, bud. Like, no,
definitely.
And in your case, like to get concussed on concussed and like lose track of time, that's some scary ass shit, dude. Like that stuff that is like major, like past the point of concussion almost. Like that's I'm actually pretty lucky that I didn't get brain damage or anything from that. And I actually probably about a year and a half ago, I went and got a checkup done on my brain, and my brain is in better condition now than it was then. So it hasn't deteriorated and gotten worse or anything like that. I've got a healthy brain, and luckily came out of that with no injuries or no permanent damage or anything like that. Man, that is very, very lucky. You know, like, dude, that's
Yeah.
crazy. But falling and then finding yourself back, you know, into the world of pro wrestling, you know, was, you know, that's something that, you know, was it pro wrestling always something that you loved, even when you stopped doing it? Were you still following the business? Did you still have like passion about certain things of
Yeah.
wrestling, or did you just lose out?
No, I definitely, I got to the point where I sort of got to the age where I was more of like a closet fan, in a sense of I had friends that would turn their nose down at wrestling, and then I wasn't friends with them anymore, and I made new friends
Yeah.
and found out, oh, hey, you like wrestling? Oh, I like wrestling too. I actually used to wrestle when I was younger, and then it evolved from that. And it wasn't until when that tryout thing showed up that Zach, he was like to me, "Fuck, man, let's go." And I was a bit like, I don't know. And he's like, "I've always wanted to wrestle." He goes, "You know the people there, just come down and do it with me." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So, you know, if I didn't keep following wrestling or have friends that were interested in wrestling, I would have never have found my way back. But yeah, I never really lost my love for it. I mean, you know, I wasn't big on the indie scene because it was a lot harder to follow back then in comparison to
Yeah.
it like what it is now. And at that point in time, like if I'm being completely honest, like WWE was not that great. So, and it's only when like it started ramping back up around 2014, 2015, where I got into it a little bit more and then remembered what it was like to watch it with friends and
Yeah.
how that can sometimes be more enjoyable than the product itself. And that's what led me back into coming into it and realizing, hey, I actually still love this. Let's do more with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. I think wrestling is one of those things where it's like, I think if once you're a fan, you're always a fan.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you're not, you're not, and that's just the one thing. And I think that you can't convince a wrestling fan not to be a wrestling fan, and you can't
yeah,
convince someone who's not a wrestling fan to sit down there and really understand what wrestling is, or even to get the concept of it, because their brain just won't allow them to let loose and enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, it's,
100%.
you know, but as far as like, you know, being wrestling and you know, we we're talking before the show that, you know, getting into doing like more of the hardcore and the violent style of deathmatch wrestling, what really drew you into that? Because that's something I always find fascinating about deathmatch guys, and everyone gives a different answer.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about the deathmatch genre style that drew you into it?
It wasn't anything in particular about the style. Foley. Um, when I was a little kid, I was probably about 5. My old man took me and my brother to High Point Shopping Center. Foley was doing a signing, and he was the first wrestler that I had ever met. That sort of resonates and sits with you for a long time because it's special in a way that it's like, I watch this person on TV. He's amazing, and here he is. He's a real person, and he's talking to me. And from that moment on, he just became my like all-time favorite. And I just thought the shit that he was doing was insane.
Yeah.
But that was the shit he was doing in WWE, WWF.
Mm.
When I found his Japanese shit, it blew my mind. Like the King of the Deathmatch stuff, I had never seen what he was doing. I thought you couldn't get him any more crazy than being thrown off a Hell in a Cell. And fuck, I was wrong. Like
But
I was,
I think as well, WWE were like, "Hey kids, don't try this at home." By the way, here's one of our biggest stars diving off a fucking roof, doing backyard wrestling. Don't do this, but
yeah,
watch this. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Let's tell you not to do it, and let's hype up our champion at the time by showing a video of 17-year-old him jumping off his roof. Yeah, like it's crazy, but Foley, it was the gateway into that style, and I like a lot of my memories and stuff will draw back to my old man. But I remember we went to Big W, and they had wrestling DVDs and all that stuff there. And they had a DVD that caught my eye, and it was just a white cover with a red blood splatter on it. And it was like ECW's bloodiest matches or something like that. Now, mind you, at the time, the revamp of ECW was around, and I had no idea what the original ECW was. And I was just like, I picked it up, and like Dad looked at it, he goes, "Oh, that would be good." And I looked at him like, "What do you mean? Like, what? It'll have like Sheamus and stuff on it." Like, the only good thing, I was like, what? Maybe there'll be a couple of Punk matches. And like, I put it back. He's like, "Whoa, no. This is original ECW." I'm like, "What do you mean original ECW?" And it was like, the DVD was like $12. So he brought it for me. And I took it home, and the first match on the DVD was Axel and Ian Rodden, Type A Death.
Oh, bro, that's the most brutal match of all fucking time.
Changed my fucking life. Honestly, changed my life. And then after that, like, Bill Alfonso versus Beulah McGillicuddy in one of the bloodiest matches I'd ever seen in my life. Funk and Sabu, No Rope Barbed Wire, like, they were just boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, what am I watching? This is raw. This is gritty. This is something that I've never seen before. And, you know, I was hooked, man. And then that linked back into the stuff that Foley was doing. And then I went and I would get on like old school YouTube at that time, or even Google Video, because a lot of videos that got put up on Google Video, you could download them as MP4 files to your computer. And I'd go on and I'd be like, I'm Mick Foley, and I'd like only just learnt the term deathmatch, and I'd type in deathmatch and like wade through all the shit, and I would find all of this cool shit coming out of like some early CZW stuff, Japan, like, and you know, that's where I fell in love with like Sick Nick Mondo and stuff like that. And I was just like, found this whole new world of wrestling. But at that time, when I was involved in wrestling, and even when I got back into it, it was like almost like a dirty word, like, we don't do that style here.
Yeah.
You know, I was saying to you before about wanting to do certain matches and then getting told at a certain promotion, you can't do that because the new canvas is on the ring and we don't want to get blood on it. And, you know, it's like you put in a box of what you could do, and there's this art form that is deathmatch wrestling or hardcore wrestling or ultra-violent wrestling that people aren't getting to see. And I fell in love with it, and you know, like, I just needed to see more of it. It was almost, not to use the word like in a funny sense, but it was like a bloodlust, literally, like a bloodlust for this style of wrestling.
It's crazy, man. Like, you know, as a lot of people who watch this show know, I'm a huge deathmatch fan, and I really enjoyed it when I was younger. And as I get older, I look at it and go, fuck, why would you put your body, you know what I mean? Because it's like, or like, you know what I mean? The more I ever understand it, and then it's like, but I can still sit down and watch a tournament of death, or I can still watch like a you know, tournament of survival, or you know, what IWA King of the, I can still watch those tournaments and appreciate them for what they are, but 100%. At a different level because of maturity. And I think, you know, you mentioned Mick Foley. And Mick Foley, I think, is one guy who, you know, his career was just, you know, shortened so much because of the crazy shit that he did. And it's like, you know, like putting himself through that. But I really think he made his name for himself by doing some of that crazy stuff, because that's how he's mainly remembered by.
100%. And like I was watching yesterday, I was actually like pretty rapt to see it show up on the network, but the Untold about him and Edge at Mania 20, was 21 or 22?
I think it was 21. We'll have some in the comments correct us, don't worry.
And just to see Foley switch into that mode, like you don't get, like, you get to see him do it, but there's not a lot of backstage about his preparations, and him talking about what he loves. Like the most footage we've seen about that is him concussed from taking 15 chair shots from The Rock, or him being wheeled out on a stretcher with a nose hanging out of his tooth. But just getting to, watch him talk about that, it's just insane. It's the same as if you read, Mania 22. There you go. And if you read his book as well, and he talks about his Japan stuff, and he talks about losing his ear and all that stuff, and the dude loves that shit. He gets off on the pain. It's insane.
I think after I saw Beyond the Mat, I was that kind of ruined Mick Foley for me. I just was he just reminds you of your favorite uncle. No, and it's you look at that, and I think there's always a different thing. And I think, in this day and age, promotions probably wouldn't let someone do some of the ridiculous shit that he does. But imagine being his kids and being traumatized. It's his dad getting belted with a fucking steel chair by a 6'6" Samoan man.
I take my little sisters to watch me wrestle. And I've purposely had them stay home with some of the matches I've done, because I don't want them to see that. And they're at the time 10, 11 or 11 and 12. Whereas you watch Foley's kids, just watching him get his ass beat and covered in blood and all that stuff, and I'm like, nah, man, that ain't for me at all. When I have kids, they're staying home.
It's not even that, bro. I watch some of the old Tournament of Deaths and shit, and they've got 8-year-olds and 5-year-olds high-fiving Necro Butcher, and I'm that's so fucked up, man. Leave them at home.
When you're, if you would have seen it, the Vice documentary they did on TOD, and they go to DJ, they're like, well, do kids come and watch? He's like, whoever shows up shows up. What? It's that's fucked.
But also, you think kids turning up, how much trauma, not trauma, but it could fuck some kids up, bro. Seeing two, you know what I mean? That sort of shit. I think it comes down to a promotion needs to be able to police. Almost who's coming to the event. You know what's going to be on your card with the workers you got. Before you go to that, you know what I mean? Come on in, kids. Oh yeah, we're not gonna do a no rope barbed wire match, but we'll do a fucking barbed wire baseball bat on a pole, But as far as for you, doing death matches, your old man obviously is a big supporter of yours. And those in other states, old man means dad. Other countries, I should say. But was your old man always you think he wanted to get in the business when he was younger, and you think if he had the opportunities, he would have done it?
100%. 100%. And that's why, he's an announcer now, and I helped him get into it, because there wasn't that avenue for him when he was my age. It didn't exist. It was very, I don't know, cutthroat, I guess. You have to know a guy who knew a guy who could get you in touch with a guy, sort of thing.
100%.
And I grew up in an era where it was quite easy to just rock up to a show, talk to the right person. They'll be like, yeah, give me $200, do a tryout. If you're all right, I'll see you down at training, sort of thing.
Give me $200.
Yeah.
The fucking cunniness in this shit, bro.
It's insane. But because he was such a big supporter of me, I was always pushing to find something for him to do on shows, because I knew that he's had times where he's got to get in there and wrestle, but for him to be a full-time wrestler, it was never going to happen. So, an opportunity come up for him to be, they need an announcer last minute, put him forward. another company was starting up. They already had an announcer, but they needed an on-screen GM type role. I put him forward for that. He's managed me. We're fought each other. Like, he's living out his dream, not only by watching me, but he gets to do it alongside me. And that's the same with Six Below. It's me and him who we're the ones we're running it together, which is something that, man, like you go back literally 15 years ago, like we would talk about this stuff and be, oh, if I could ever run a show, I'd do this and I'd do that. And, here we are, 2021, and we're doing it. And it's like, it's fucking sick, man. It's so cool.
So how did you come up with the name Six Below Fight Club? Because Six Below Fight Club doesn't sound like a professional wrestling promotion. And
no.
to be honest, I commend you for it, because it's something unique. And that's how I think, like in wrestling, if you can show something unique and straight off the get-go within the name, you're onto a good start.
Yeah, so that's pretty much straight away. I didn't want us to look like a wrestling company. When we showed up on social media and no one knew what we were about, but seeing that we were following wrestlers, we wanted them to have a rough idea, but not quite be able to figure out what we were doing. And the name itself, I wanted it to have a Fight Club mentality, which I'll get into a little bit later on exactly the feel of what we're going for with our shows. And Six Below, just to me, I was like trying to think of something that sounded like death, but without using the word death. And I'm like, well, if you bury someone, they could be 6 feet under, they could be 12 feet under. What about like Six Below? And I sent that to my dad, and he's like, it originally wasn't the number, it was spelt SIX. And he's like, no, change it to the number. And then it'll be the number 6 BFC. And he goes, that would be sick. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, and I don't know, it's unique. It's got a grittiness to it. You hear Fight Club and you're like, oh, okay. That's interesting. So that's the whole vibe we wanted. We're a wrestling company, but we're not. Like that's the way that we want to put ourselves out there.
Yeah, and I think with the uniqueness of a name like that, and also like moving forward into shows, if you can obviously do things in your shows and that are specific for your brand and for your company, it's going to mean so much more. And I think that's something that would obviously, as a wrestling fan, for me would be like, I got to go see this. I got to get a ticket. Yeah. And that's something that sort of, as a wrestling fan, bro, like, you know what I mean? I still get fucking hook, line, and sinker and shit, man. And get triggered by that shit. And a lot of people do, man. And I think that, by offering something different is a great fucking start.
100%. And that's because that's how this all started. So I picked up a championship from another company, who I'm not going to mention, and we're going to leave that at that.
Okay.
And they run shows bi-monthly. So I was like, I've got this belt, but what the fuck am I going to do with it? Like, I'm going to defend it once every 2 months, and then it's just going to sit there gathering dust. So I'm like, you know what? I've always been big on cinematic style stuff. Like, there's an art form to that. And watching Mania, watching the Matt Hardy stuff, go back to Mick Foley when Foley and Taker did that Boiler Room Brawl. Like, there's something that just suckers me in about matches that aren't conventional matches and aren't filmed in a standard hard cam roaming camera style fashion.
Yeah, same.
So I wanted to defend that championship in my own way and, do something creative with it so that I could keep myself relevant, B, the belt relevant, and just do something cool. So I organized with Tom Barrett from Misfire Digital. I organized with him, and I'm like, hey man, I got this idea about to shoot a cinematic match. I want you to come down and let's shoot a cinematic match and do something cool. And he was all for it. It was originally supposed to be a Type A death match with Damien Rivers shot in a cinematic style, which I was like super psyched about. But then Damo wasn't able to do it due to health reasons and all that. And it then evolved into, well, what if we got a bunch of people that, you know, they need to knock off the ring rust because they haven't worked in a while. Mm-hmm. And they're not quite feeling up to going out and wrestling in front of a crowd yet, but we can get them in the ring, we can get them bumping, we can get them performing and do it in this really, you know, different style. And we put together a couple of matches, got some people down, and we went through and we were running through it all, and we ended up filming a pilot for what was supposed to become a TV series, which is 6 Below Volume 1, which is on our YouTube channel. And I was looking at that and I'm like, I think we're onto something here. It could be something quite different that we could do. And straight off the bat, we wanted no pinfalls. That's what we want, because straight off the bat, it separates us from everyone else in wrestling. And it gives us our own identity, because it's very much the way I would describe it to people when we were pitching the cinematic stuff is, imagine if Fight Club, Bloodsport, and Mortal Kombat had a really messed up son. It's just this combination of really, really cool shit put together. So we wanted our own identity from that. And then we put together Volume 1 and we were really happy with it. And we were talking with a few people about doing a series, which was going to be like a weekly series. And then out of nowhere, Jason Cole, he comes up to me and he's like, hey, so the nightclub that I work at want to put on a wrestling show. Let's do it. So straight from there, we jumped from cinematic stuff to, hey, we're now running live wrestling. How are we going to... Yeah, it literally, like, we went out for Kid Valiant, who wrestles on the independent scene here. We went out for his 18th birthday at the club where Jason works. I was sitting down. Jason's like, come with me. Introduced me to the club owner. He goes, hey, Mick, you know how I've been trying to run a wrestling show here for like ever? And he's like, yeah. He goes, this guy owns a company, so we're going to do it if that's cool. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
I'm like, all right, sick, cool. So I guess we're doing a live 6 Below show. Fuck yeah, sweet, let's do it. So then it come the part of, okay, I need to look at the style. I need to look at how do we translate the submission knockouts over to a live show so we can still have that crowd engagement. What are the fans like? Who are we going to cater towards? It's in a nightclub, so it's obviously over 18. What style of matches are we going to do? So it's all been this massive. It's easy to do that style in cinematic, but how does it translate over to a live show? Which no doubt it's probably going to come with its trial and errors of feeling it out, the same way that filming the cinematic stuff had its trial and errors of filming. But that's where we're at the moment, and I'm pretty sure we've got it pretty locked down on what everything's going to look like, and we've got a pretty decent card of people that are going to be able to take the vision and the style that we want and run with it and put on one hell of a show.
And what can fans expect for the show, like for a live show? So, you know, we've gone through and you've explained like the cinematic style, and I think by doing the more hardcore deathmatch elements in a cinematic style will be something interesting, because usually it's very deathmatch wrestling is shot almost like it's very grunge music type, metal music, the underground. You know, you're not going to get a WWE quality shot, tournament of death or tournament of survival or something like that. It's just the way it is. But when you do it in a cinematic way, now that has just sparked an interest. Yeah. Now to be able to do that at live shows and putting on that live event, what are some of the things that we can expect from that live show?
So it's going to be, again, we're going to translate them rules over that we run our matches with, which is a submission knockouts only. Although the only change that we realize that we need to make is when someone is down for a KO, we're going to have the ref do a 5 count. So almost like last man standing type stuff. But
like sort of, yeah.
We're only doing that to engage the fans more, because the kick out plays such a crucial part in a wrestling match that I feel like a show would be lacking if it didn't have them, oh my God, he's up moments. Or, oh my God, I can't believe she made it to her feet. So that's a change that we're making there, as well as it all comes down to the way that we light it. We've got no seats, so it's all standing. It's in a bar. It's very dark. It's very grungy. It's going to have that really – look, it's like I've said, I'm a massive mark for ECW, and I feel like that 90s grungy style, it just invokes – something in people. And if I can try and capture that style on a modern stage, so people can come in and be like, okay, I get it. This is dark, this is grimy, this is grungy, there's blood everywhere, there's weapons flying around, and you know what? I love it. This is sick. That's what we want to try and capture in our live shows, so that people can get that real life bloodlust where they're like, I want more. Like, give me more. We don't want it to be clean cut, polished, or anything like that. We're rough around the edges. Like, we already are trying to stand out from every other wrestling company in Australia. So why not just go the extra mile and, fuck it. Let's just be even more of an outcast company than we can possibly be. Because at the end of the day, if we've got a cult following, that's all we need. Like, we don't care if we're mainstream. We don't care if we've got millions of viewers around the world, all that blah blah blah. Like, if we got loyal fans that just come to watch us do the shit that we love, that's enough for us.
And that's the thing. That's the biggest, like, probably the best way for a promotion to grow a following is word of mouth. And like when fans are talking to other fans, dude, did you see this shit? Like,
100%.
And dude, 100%. Like, I'm spewing this show's gonna be in fucking Melbourne, bro. I'm like, damn, I want to come to it, man. It's I might have to talk the wife into let me go down for a boys trip, but
well, anytime you come down, man. There'll be tickets waiting at the door for you. So
I appreciate it, man. Definitely we'll have to hit you up. But who are some of the guys that we can expect, and girls that we can expect to see performing on the first show?
So our main event is Jason Cole versus Guido for the UGWA Total Violence Championship. That was pretty cool how that sort of just happened. Jason just has this way, and anyone that knows him knows what he's like. Jason just has this way of sweet talking his way into like the most, like, nah, no way, they won't go for it. And then
he's a worker, bro. He just puts the work in.
And he sends me a message. Oh no, actually, he sent me a message like, "Hey man, are you free?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, cool. Give me a call." And he's like, "You know how you've booked me and Guido, yeah?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Guess what? It's for the UGWA title." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I got it across the line." I'm like, "All right, that's sick. Cool.
That's huge."
So I'm like, our first show is going to have that as the main event. Like, I'm all for that. That's sick. And, so we've got them two. We've got Tyson Baxter, Jet Ruka, and Murdoch, who are going to they're going to be in a freeway dance, which is going to be sick. We've got a couple of like young guys as well, like Mike Chaos and Hector Jones, which, I've got all the time in the world for both of them, especially Mikey, who I used to team with. And I feel like he's getting a good opportunity coming up with DMDU, and he needs to be seen on a different stage. Because he's killing it everywhere he works, but like the kid's so talented. It's a shame that he's not being booked everywhere. And same with Hector. I've known him for a little bit back when I met him at the MCW Academy, and like he's a good kid with a good head on his shoulders, and he's just killing it at the moment as well. For someone who probably like before the start of this year didn't really have a name about himself at all, and now he's like building up his own following, which is really cool. On top of that, we've got Bobby Bishop coming down from Queensland, who I've been mates with Bobby for quite a while, and I've just wanted to have him come down and like just work with him, because he's another one who he's been a consistent in wrestling, but I don't feel like enough people are booking him, and he's so good and so entertaining, but also his style doesn't match the Six Below style, and I think that that's going to work in his favor, because he's going to be a bit of an outcast that's going to have to adapt to that, and he's going to have to find himself in that element, which I'm like super keen to see. And then on top of that, we've got Blacklisted, so JXT and Fox. They're going to be on the show. A few other people that we haven't announced yet. A massive announcement that's going to come on Monday, again, about who I'm wrestling, which I'm super stoked. I'm going to die. So that's all I'm going to say is I'm going to die. But it's a massive get for us, but it's also a massive get just for the shit that we're going to be able to do. It's gonna be insane. And then on top of that, there's probably only half the people that we've announced. And like I said, I was going to announce a match on here. So the show is actually going to open up with a match we're calling the Blood Splatter Brawl. And what that is it's a 15-person battle royal, but we're going to line the top rope in typical deathmatch style with rubber bands holding weapons. So basically everyone gets in, stand around a circle. All right, everyone fight. Mad dash for a weapon and then just slug it out till there's one person standing. If you get knocked out or you get thrown over the top rope, you're eliminated. That's what we're opening the show up with. So that's what we want to set the tone and show everyone, like, just the visual people are going to get when they walk in, they see this ring and it's set up and there's kendo sticks, chairs, there's all this stuff just surrounding, hanging onto the top rope, and they're like, okay, so they're not fucking around. Like, this is legit as it's going to get. So yeah, that's going to be sick. So we've got 15 people in that alone who aren't wrestling in any other matches on the night.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the main event, Guido defending the UNCENSORED title. What's the stipulation going to be for that?
So all of our matches are just under 6 Below rules. So it's very, I guess, like I said, ECW in that style of there are no rules. Last man or last person standing wins. So if you can knock them out or submit them, that's it. However you do that is completely up to you. And it falls into the way that we want to have our matches is under 3 styles. You have hardcore ultra-violent type style, where it's a weapon bloodfest. A brawler style, where it's an absolute hoss fight slugfest. Or a technical submission style, where you come in and you're trying to tap someone out. And them styles can mesh and they'll have a good, you'll be able to tell good stories with that. But that's basically, there are no rules. If you're standing, you're the winner. Simple as that. Put your opponent down. And it's the same with multi-man matches. So the freeway dance is very old school freeway dance style. If someone gets knocked out or submitted, they're eliminated and the match continues till there's one person left. Same with tag matches as well. It's all elimination until there's one person left standing. So yeah, it's different.
That's very different.
It's very different. Yeah.
And you know what? I think that would appeal to people that aren't necessarily just wrestling fans. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like metal fans and, death metal fans and shit like that. That's the sort of shit. Fuck yeah, man. Let's go see guys fight to the fucking death. Yeah. Like, it appeals to so much on a broader scale, man, and it's, man, I'm impressed. Like, I'm really, really glad I brought you on tonight, because like, I'm blown away with the ideas that you guys have got. And I think you guys are definitely going to have a lot of eyes on you, man.
I appreciate that.
Like, what's the expected numbers? Like, how's ticket sales been going for the show?
Ticket sales are doing pretty good. But I guess the one downfall is when you're running a show in May and tickets go on sale in like March. People tend to not want to buy tickets until a little bit closer to. I've found that with any show that I've worked. But they're doing okay. You could always sell more, but we just got news too that COVID restrictions easing up and lifting, we can now have an extra 75 people in the venue if we want, which that's what has freed us up now to, do giveaways and stuff like that, because we've got our money cap in a sense of where we run the show without running at a loss. And then above that, we can give tickets out to people and we can do stuff like we've done with you and all that and are comfortable that we're going to have a decent crowd. And I think at the moment too, being that we're the new kids on the block, we're a first show, we didn't have too much of a build up in a sense of like, we're a new company and we're going to be running a show in 6 months and look at who we've got and all that. We were just sort of like, hey, we're a cinematic company. Oh, by the way, we got an announcement 9:00 Monday morning. Here's a live show. People are like a little bit, I don't quite know what to expect from them. So they might be a little bit weary of it. But then in saying that, myself and Jason this Saturday night are going to go down to that nightclub and have a no-ring death match in the middle of the dance floor at midnight, so that the regulars that go there can be like, holy shit, this is what I'm seeing the posters for. This is fucking insane. Give me a ticket now, sort of thing. And we can get.
I can just imagine some guy at a nightclub like just sitting there like, yeah, baby. So anyway, let's get back to a holy fuck, there's a
there's a light tube. Like, so like, but that will also give us an opportunity to put footage of what our non-cinematic stuff looks like out there, so people can be like, okay, I get it now. I'm invested.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the sort of stuff we're doing. But yeah, we're really excited. We're pretty confident that we've already booked the second show, which is going to happen on July 3rd, which is called Injustice for None. So that's going to happen, July 3rd at the Alley as well. And we're going to, at the moment, run bi-monthly, mainly because the club owner was just like, let's do it every second month and see how we go. But to be honest, as long as Mick's making an absolute fortune on the bar, I think he's going to be asking us to come back every weekend. Especially, I don't think he quite understands how much wrestling fans drink, and how much money he could potentially make off of the bar that night. So I think he's going to be in for a little bit of a surprise, and a very good one at that.
Oh, 100%, dude. A wrestling show at a bar, bro. It's a perfect combination, man. And I think that, with everything that's happening, I think with the first show coming on and, doing shows bi-monthly, it's definitely a good way for you guys to sort of really start and test the waters of that local scene in Melbourne. But, do you find that are you planning to, I should say, get into training guys and getting a wrestling school started? Is that something that is of interest of you guys at the moment?
That's a tough one, because it's sort of like down the track sort of stuff. But anyone that ever messages me and asks about wrestling and stuff like that, I just point them towards Relentless. Anyone that's working our shows, I encourage them to go down and train with Navarra,
JXT.
Fox, and JXT down at Relentless. The shit that they're doing down there is on a whole other level. So I personally don't think if I opened a school, I could do it justice in comparison to what them guys are doing. So I'd much rather, if we were going to bring in new talent, I would rather pull from their pool of new talent, because at least I know they're being trained right, they're being looked after, they know how to work, they've got great psychology, and they're going to come in ready to work. I don't want people coming in, and it's the same as like on the other side of town, because that's on this side of town, because I'm in the Deer Park Western suburbs of Melbourne area, but then on the other side of town I send people towards like Adrenaline and their school as well, which we've got quite a few of the people that train under Adrenaline on our show. They were the ones that let us film at their training school when we filmed the cinematic, the pilot down there. And they've always been really good. They've looked after us. So like with them two going, like, yeah, I don't think I could do it justice opening up my own school. I mean, I would love to have my own ring. That would be cool. Which is something that we're working on at the moment. I'm not going to say too much, but we're trying to get something that's got a little bit more than 4 sides, and do something a little bit different with a ring of that style.
So by the first show, you're going to have a ring, or is it going to be a no ring?
Well, we're renting a ring for the first show, but we're trying to, by the second show, have our own ring, and do something unique with that. So, yeah, I don't want to say too much in case it doesn't happen, but we're trying to do something pretty cool with that. Yeah.
Bro. Mate, yeah. Like I got a feeling on where you're going with it, and it's like,
yeah,
fuck yeah. If you can get something like that happening, and the space in the venue has that room, dude, that'll be next level. But dude, it's been an absolute pleasure sitting here talking to you, and honestly, I feel like we could go for another 2 hours easily.
Yeah, I just looked at the time that we've been running, and I'm like, oh wow, that's gone like so quick.
Dude, you're welcome to come back on the show anytime. So
anytime you want me, man, I'll come back.
Dude, I run shows every single day if I can. So if you want to come on anytime, bro, you let me know. Yeah, we can make it happen. But man, let's get into drawing this winner, shall we? Like it's been going on my Twitter, right? So why don't you announce the winner? So basically, everyone watching, I announced on my Twitter page at Piers Austin on Twitter that I was working with 6 Below and offering some of my followers an opportunity to win 5 free tickets. So win a ticket for you and 4 mates to the 6 Below's first show, and we're really excited to have that winner announced right now tonight. So. Why don't you go for it, man? You happy?
Yeah, no dramas. So we chucked everyone into one of them random generator type deals. Just put all the names of everyone that retweeted. We had a decent amount of retweets too, which I was quite surprised. Some of the people who retweeted, I had to leave out because they lived in America. Or their workers, yeah. And I was just sort of like, well, if you live in America and you win, I don't quite know how that's going to work. Like, I don't see COVID restrictions lifting, nor do I see you flying to Australia to use 5 free tickets. So I don't see that being realistic. So anyone that feels cheated because they got left out of the competition, I'm sorry, but like, what can I do?
We had to do what we had to do.
Exactly. The person we came up with was Brooke Raw X, so RAWRX. So we'll tag.
We'll tag you in a post following this show. You can get in contact with 6 Below. We'll make sure that you get in contact with those guys. Also, man, it's time for that time of the evening where we're gonna play 60 seconds with Piers, man. So we have given a fair warning of what this is going to be.
Yeah.
Are you ready to get this thing going, man?
Yeah, definitely. Why not? I stuck thinking on the spot, so this is going to be fun.
All right, man. So when you're ready, give me the Iggy and I'll start the clock.
All right, let's go.
What would your autobiography be called?
How the fuck did I get here?
Plain fairy bread or fairy bread with Nutella?
Fairy bread with Nutella.
Which Chris is hotter, Hemsworth, Evans, or Pratt?
Pratt.
Favorite song to sing at karaoke?
Without Me by Eminem.
Neighbours or Home and Away?
Neighbors. It's not even a real question.
Name a gross meal combo that no one else likes but you love.
Oh, Christmas ham and M&Ms.
Oh, okay. Favorite wrestling referee?
Liam. Liam here in Melbourne. Dude, sick.
If you could ask Vince McMahon one question, what would it be?
Can I have a small loan of $1 million?
If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
Prepare to be disappointed.
Time, man. Thank you very much. That was a lot of fun. We fired off a few of them, and you were able to sort of keep it there. But man, where can everyone follow you, and where can everyone follow Six Below, bro?
So I'm pretty dark on social media, but I've got Instagram is just Smacks. And if you go to Facebook, it's Smacks Pro Wrestler or Smacks or whatever. You type in Smacks and look for a picture of me with skewers sticking out of my head and you found me. As for Six Below, we are at Six Below FC on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So if you type that in, you'll be able to find us. And look for any one of our posts for our Eventbrite link for tickets and stuff, and links to our YouTube to watch Volume 1 and all that fun shit.
There you go, man. Make sure you all go and follow Six Below on all social media platforms where they're available. Make sure to go and check them out. If you're in Melbourne, go get yourself a ticket. They're going to be doing something very unique and something very different and special in the pro wrestling field. It's going to be amazing for Australian wrestling, and I think once you guys get on some streaming services as well, I think you're going to blow the minds of some of the wrestling fans over in the States and other countries as well. But Smacks, thank you so much for being a guest, bro. Like I said, you've got an open invitation to come back any time you like, bro.
Appreciate it. I'll come back. I'll come back anytime. It's been a ball, man.
That's it, man. Guys, also make sure to tune in this Saturday at 10 a.m. for Killing the Business with Angel Medina, live on YouTube and Twitch. And guys, make sure you keep an eye out on Twitter, Instagram, on Facebook to see who I will be interviewing next. I will have an announcement going out in the next 2 days. But Smacks, thanks very much, man. And guys, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you soon. Peace.
Take it easy.